me get started with some of these questions here, Ricky.
Yep.
You guys are playing Billy Bob's Texas on February 28th, Cowtown. I know you guys are currently on tour. I believe you're in Nevada tonight, correct?
We are. Yeah, we just got here a few hours ago.
Oh, nice. So you got a 2 week break after tonight, and then back on the road again. So tell me, what is the hardest part of touring, even on a catered scale, with a high-end
Well,
band like Styx? I mean, what's the hardest thing?
we've got it down pretty much. We've been doing this for so many years now that we all have sort of our own personal way of getting through the day, but we always say that we don't get paid for being on stage. It's the other 22 hours of the day. And, you got to figure it out. A lot of us are able to, because of the internet, of course, these days it's not like it was when we were getting started. We can get a lot done, a lot of business and a lot of personal things, and even songwriting and a lot of musical things that we can do, that you couldn't do back in the day. And when we have days off, I like to get out on the golf course when it's good weather. And none of the other guys play golf, so everybody has something they like to do. We've kind of been doing it long enough that we've got it figured out. Plus the fact that this band is unique in that we actually do hang out together. Not all of us at once, but we all get along. We all have kind of an insane sense of humor that we approach life with, that we all get, and it's a good time. We don't. It isn't just a work situation.
I hear you. Well, I hear Styx is touring with Def Leppard and Tesla this summer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess the secret's out. That hasn't been really, it's one of the things that I just this week heard. We're supposed to be keeping it under wraps for a while, but I guess that secret's out. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We've done 2 tours with Def Leppard. We haven't toured with them in about 5 years now. So I love those guys, and Joe and Sav and I do get out on the golf course on days off. And
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to hanging with those guys again, and all of the guys in that band are fantastic. Just really good guys, and I like the compliment of the music too. It's a kind of a cool blend, and certain bands that we come out with, I won't mention names. I thought, well, I'm not sure this is working as far as the musical compliment, but with Def Leppard and Spirit, it's a very cool blend, and I think Tesla, we've done a lot of shows with those guys as well, and they've got their own thing and the way they do it. I'm a Northern Californian, just like they are. They grew up in Redding and they grew up in Sacramento, so it's cool to see them on the bill because it gets a real wide palette for a summertime show.
Ready to say, and the hits combined between the 3 bands it could go on for hours, and
Yeah, right.
Awesome, very cool. All right, man. So your Styx career started around 2005 with the Big Bang Theory LP, mainly cover tunes. How fun was that to make? I mean, and what was your input? Selecting the songs or maybe the arrangements.
Yeah, I mean that was just kind of a kooky thing that came up. We played the very first Crossroads event for Eric Clapton was in Dallas, and we were asked to do a kind of an acoustic set for the sit-down dinner the night before for the people who were sponsors and putting on the event, and then we opened the show the next day, and it kicked off the 3-day event. We did, you don't think of Crossroads as, I don't know, we were trying to figure out how to make Styx fit in that format.
Right,
and
a guitar festival, right.
Yeah, so we did things that were just kind of a little bit different and off the wall, not necessarily with a blues tone, although we did The Thrill Is Gone. Tommy does a killer version of that, and we did some cool bluesy stuff, but we did I Am the Walrus by the Beatles, which is sacrilege to begin with, but we were just doing it to be different. We've been playing it in sound checks, just having fun with it. We did our own version of it. It ended up getting recorded and ended up on on radio. It like just grew like leaps and bounds. It was all over the country and entered the Billboard charts at 46. And it was, we were just laughing the whole way because we were never intending it to be recorded. It was a live recording that that was getting passed around, and actually what happened was that the record company said, "Look, you've got a hit song here. It's getting airplay. How about you go in and do 9 more covers?" And this is Universal, and they said, "We'd like to put it out." So we talked about it, and we thought, well, if we're going to do this, let's not do covers of our contemporaries. Let's continue in the format. The Beatles were kind of our forefathers and guys that we looked up to and learned from. Let's definitely, and hence comes the title Big Bang Theory. What we're trying to do is say all the elements of Styx, all the members of Styx learned from bands that came before. Let's choose a song from each of those, no matter how obscure it might be, and have that be the Big Bang Theory album.
Right.
So that's kind of how that came about.
Right, I can see that. Yeah, that leads up to my next question, because there was such a diverse song selection, like from One Way Out of the Allman Brothers, Locomotive Breath by Jethro Tull, even a Hendrix number, Manic Depression. Then touring and performing these songs for that follow-up album, the 2006 with Contemporary Youth Orchestra. So tell me, I'm curious, the fan reaction. I mean, you know, when bands play covers like that, the fans really light up, you know.
Well, yeah, it was fun. I mean, I think J.Y. saw Hendrix 4 times live as a kid. The Allman Brothers were a huge influence on Tommy Shaw being an Alabama boy himself. One of my strange contributions, which actually got a lot of airplay in the UK, is Summer in the City. Because I always thought, you know, John Sebastian and Lemon Spoonful had some cool things. When I heard Summer in the City, I always thought of that track as being kind of, it really denoted a time in music. And kind of was a flux going on in between, like the Hendrix and Cream era and what was to follow. And that was kind of coming in right in at that same time. And I thought the band would go, no way, but they said, well, let's just bang it around instead of, we made it a guitar song rather than a keyboard song. But other than that, we tried to pretty much put it across with our own influences in it. It's just one of those things. I mean, some people hate cover albums; they just absolutely hate them.
Yeah.
But we did this one, and I think it got a lot of airplay actually in Europe and the UK, which we hadn't been getting. So it was actually really. And then we also got a top 40 single out of it. So it was definitely one of those things that comes from left field that you don't expect that was good for the band.
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, man, I spent all the time obviously researching. I was on your website, so I'm going to take you a little bit back. You know, I read on your personal website, rickyphillips.com, how you moved from New York to L.A. with a suitcase, a bass guitar, and $20 in your pocket. A very familiar story for many musicians. And then you auditioned for a band, you know, got the gig, eventually landed a spot with the Babies. I know timing plays a big part in a musician's life. So tell me about those early days, the struggle, if any, and some of the people you met leading up to joining the Babies.
Well, it's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, I ended up finally, I was actually playing with some guys who, in the very end, were starting sticking needles in their arms, and I went, you know what, I need to find my own path, and I've got to go to either New York or Los Angeles. And I chose Los Angeles. I was more familiar with California, being a Northern California kid in those days, and I've been traveling all around the country, playing in bars, and I was ready. I mean, I've been playing 5 sets a night for several years, and was still young enough to I didn't have any kind of a fallback plan or anything. I just went for it. I was sleeping on couches, but you know, in the next block was Frankie Benally from Quiet Riot. He was sleeping on couches. Rudy Sarzo was in another direction a few blocks away, and Randy Castillo, the drummer that ended up playing with Ozzy and with Lita Ford, and actually was in Motley Crue for a short bit. I mean, he was about 3 blocks away. I mean, there were a bunch of us who kind of knew each other through playing clubs all around the country. Always, each band that's got good musicians in it usually knows or hears about, have you heard about this band, blah, blah, blah. Now, who are they? You know, and you wonder who your competition is. And we all kind of had discovered each other through that process and ended up in Los Angeles. None of us had 2 quarters to rub together. I remember Frankie Vanell and I used to go down and play Camp Pendleton on Friday nights for probably $35 or something just to get some money to eat on. And, you know, then we all started kind of getting seen and around town and started getting gigs. And the next thing you know, the sound man actually from the Babies is who saw me first. I got a gig with a little hotshot band that was going on in L.A. And he came in and saw us play live and searched me out and had me come over and introduce me to the band, and I ended up auditioning for those guys and was man, I was on the road. I was in Europe, I think, a month later or something like that. It's just crazy how you can starve yourself trying to follow a path, and then all of a sudden, boom, lightning strikes, and if you're ready for it, when it comes along, it can carry you quite a long ways. I'm here to testify.
That's cool, man. Well, you know, to me, looking at some of your early photos, you have that guitar look, but you play bass. I bet that's appealing to a lot of bands looking for a bass player.
Well, you know, I think most of the bands that I have been in were image conscious.
Exactly.
I know a lot of bands today look like they got off work at Kinko's and just ran straight onto the stage.
Yeah, the times have changed.
Yeah, I mean, I was influenced by Jimi Hendrix, man. I was influenced by the Beatles. I was influenced by Rod Stewart and the Faces and David Bowie and Queen, and those guys had respect for their art beyond the music. It was an experience. You had to be great on your instrument, and then you had to become a great songwriter, and then you had to become. It was a full package, and that's what I've loved from the very beginning. I mean, I'll sit down and cut off in the summertime around the pool and jam with whoever wants to jam. I don't have to put on a show, but my point is if I want to be in a rock band that gives the full Monty, man, that's what I'm into.